Alrighty, welcome back guys to another operator video for Rainbow Six Extraction. Like I said before in my last one, I'll be covering Sledge. The one guy that has the most brain-dead utility equipment that you could possibly think of, but supports a ton of different gameplay, and how you go about doing different kinds of setups for defenses or handling certain threats. Uh, he definitely has some utility when it comes along with it. Uh, like all the time, I'll be going over his loadout first, all his guns and his weaponry, and after that I'll go over his advancements or his skill tree, going from 1 to 10, his stats for being speed and armor, and his gadget overall, which is already kind of self-explanatory, as you can see on his back. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So first off, for weapons, he has 3 primary weapons. Now he is a bit limited when it comes to arsenals. But he does have the M59 0A1 or 0A1 shotgun. Same as smoke, it hits like a dang truck. 48 damage per pellet, 7 rounds in capacity, 8 if you're counting the one that's already in the gun. And it's single fire pump action, so you don't need to worry about any kind of recoil. And all around is really solid for taking out sprawl, opening up rotation holes so to get away from enemies, and or anything like that, setting up sight really well, and obviously being really lethal up close. He's also running the L85A2, which is again like smoke, just way slower, kind of an assault rifle or LMG kind of gun. The reload takes forever, but or I say takes forever, just slower than usual. But it does hit like a truck at 47 damage, and it has a slow fire rate at 670. So it does have way better recoil control, has like real solid laser recoil kind of control. And one of them I do kind of want, or I kind of like more than the L85, and this is the AR-33. It's semi-auto and burst capable assault rifles, so yeah, so semi-auto and burst capable assault rifles. I did not know it was burst. Okay, so that's really cool, so you can actually see there. So this would be a great one right here. Uh, So it's actually a really solid gun. It does 41 damage, so it is missing out on the 6 extra points, but it's not really too big of a deal. It has a faster fire rate of 749 rounds per minute, and a capacity of 25, unfortunately, or 26 if you count the one already in the gun. So it is a little bit more limited on ammo capacity, but it's way faster in fire rate, more forgiving, and still hits really hard. The recoil is a little bit more unforgiving, but it kicks more towards the right than towards the left, so it's a little bit easier to control or naturally control just by muscle memory alone. So all around, I kind of want this more than the actual L85. It just feels better and actually does reload faster. For scopes, it actually has a pretty wide selection of it. It has a reflex sight, the normal holographic, the 2.5 times zoom scope, the red dot sight, and the 1.5 times, which I almost all the time run on my other guns. I didn't go over to the actual scopes here, but uh, the L85 or A2 here has all the same scopes as smoke. It has the 1.5 times, the red dot, the 2.5 or ACOG, holographic sight, and the reflex sight on there. So I absolutely would run this one. For the barrels, you have a suppressor. Almost every single assault rifle will have this, or if not all of them. It'll get rid of a little bit more, or a lot more of your damage, and it goes down to 24, which is still pretty hard hitting for a suppressor anyway, but it's nothing too great for that. Compensator to help out with rapid fire shooting, so normally all the time you're going to be using this in automatic. However, you can see from the actual display or the description here for the gun, it's in auto. You have 3 different fire modes here, so you can go fully auto, which it's at by default, semi-automatic, and burst capable, so you can make it to where it's a burst kind of gun. And like I said in my smoke video, I did figure out that the muzzle brake actually does help out with recoil when it comes to automatic firing. So if you guys see for the actual recoil pattern, it starts out with a little blue section, then it goes up to the yellow, to orange, and red. So as you can see, slowly but surely, every one of those little sections spreads out in randomness. So that is from sustained fire from the gun. So longer you hold down the trigger, more it kind of bounces around and kind of gets out of control. It's supposed to simulate how it is in real life, I suppose guns like that or like that I haven't actually fully fully shot, like, just constant going with kind of rounds before from a gun, but I'd imagine that's how it kind of works out from what I've seen so far. But every single section there is a good like 2 to 3 shots, or I believe it's 3 shots. So even though the muzzle brake in the description is very misdirection here or very deceiving, it reduces the overall weapon kick of single shot firing. Uh, yes, it will actually get rid of a little bit of recoil, but as you can see, the only thing it actually reduces here in recoil is a little blue section. So those are the first 2 to 3 shots that you fire from your gun. So if you do want to switch it to a 3 round burst, it'll still hit pretty dang hard, and you'll have a lot more recoil, so you can, or a lot less recoil in there, so you can turn it to where it's more or less like a DMR at that point. The compensator helps out with actual recoil, but that only comes into play when it's actually the highest magnitude. So it's the complete opposite of a muzzle brake. So the compensator helps out a lot more when it comes to actual spread. So as you can see, the orange and yellow areas are very slightly different, or it tightens in a little bit more for the orange and red spot compared to the yellow and blue. As you can see, the yellow and blue don't move a single bit. So the compensator only really helps when you're almost at the very end of your actual magazine, especially for this gun. So for this, I absolutely recommend running the muzzle brake because it has such a low ammo capacity. By the time you actually do get the use out of your compensator, you're already going to be running out of ammo. So this is the very rare times where you would want to use a muzzle brake, or if you have any kind of gun that has a 3 round burst mode to it, you can also use that if you want to. So that's the actual use for muzzle brakes and why it's on automatic guns. I just kind of found it odd for it to be there, but I knew there had to be some type of reason. That's the reason why. So run a muzzle brake on there. It's a very good change, I guess. It's a bit of a difference there. It does have 2 different grip options, the only 2 that's in Rainbow Six Siege or in this game. You have the vertical grip for recoil control and the angle grip for ADS speed. So either one for you, I just go for vertical grip for that, so it helps you out. And all around you'll get a pretty solid tight hip fire, or not hip fire, or pretty solid recoil control for your gun. I recommend using that. Secondary has exactly the same secondary options as smoke. You have the P226 MK25. It's the second hardest hitting gun without a suppressor, or second hardest hitting secondary without a suppressor. The hardest hitting one is the PMM handgun, and that does 61 damage. This does 50. But the PMM only has the ammo capacity of 10 if you count the one already in the gun. This one goes up to 15, 16 if you count the one that's already in the chamber. So it does actually beat it in ammo capacity. Does a little bit less damage, but it still hits like a truck. So if you want a secondary that has a little bit more precision and hard hitting power, this is the one that you would want to go with. All around, it's actually probably better for stealth kind of plays. So there's actually a really good use for it. But usually people would go to the SMG11 because it carries different kind of utility that usually some people may argue to be better. But let's go ahead and go over it. It's a SMG, or a secondary SMG. Has a fire rate of 1,270, so has one of, I think, the fastest fire rate in the game. The damage with the suppressor is 21. Without it, it is 35, so it actually does hit like a truck without it. So you can run the vertical foregrip or the vertical grip plus the compensator and kind of make it to where it's almost all the straight vertical recoil. Going up, it rises extremely fast. So recoil is absolutely a thing on this gun, but you don't need to worry about it bouncing like left and right a whole lot. It's not too bad. It's just almost straight up. So you just have to pull down on that sucker hard when it let it rips. But if you can somehow keep all your rounds in a fairly small area or a fairly straight area, you will kill everything almost instantly. Like a Rooter or a Tormentor does not stand a chance against this small little gun. It's just really hard to pull off those kind of situations like that because of the magnitude. So it's not meant for longer ranges. because of that, and it does not have a select fire. It's all automatic or nothing. So, or you can technically just tap fire it, but you don't actually have a ammo switch or switching from like automatic to single or semi-automatic. The sights, you have the red dot sight, the reflex sight, and the holographic, all the standard ones. Again, you have the vertical grip, and that's the only option you get there. So all around, I kind of use this more. You can get good shots off of it. It's still a gun. You can still use it. Maybe has a little bit more range to it. I haven't really tested it, and it will melt things really, really fast. It does have a pretty good amount of stopping power to it. The ammo capacity is 16 plus 17, so it only beats the P226 by 1 round when it comes to ammo or magazine capacity. So it's do what you want with that. Or it's a pretty good like little detail there, but it's no actual like real SMG primary. It's not going to be really forgiving at all, or it is going to be forgiving for missed shots, but it's not going to be the greatest for long range kind of engagement. So it's playing it more or less like an automatic shotgun is if you're going to be using it on enemies. So that's what you want to be using, even with the two recoil helping attachments on here. So it's great, especially for taking out sprawl. In some cases, it's arguably better than the laser, and especially getting you out of situations where you're being chased. You don't want a laser to take its time to burn through the sprawl. You just want to use this and shoot the sprawl to just light it up and get rid of that huge chunk in front of you, so you're able to get away from enemies faster. So it can save you from pinches way better and more efficiently than the actual laser will. So I recommend running that. And let's go over his actual advancements. So he is a 3 armored 5 speed, so this man is an absolute tank. He has the most amount of default health or resistance. He still has 100 health by default, but he has the highest damage resistance in the game. And speed is a 3, so he's not the fastest operator by any means, but he is a little bit above average when it comes to that. So pretty solid when it comes to movement speed. There's nothing great there. Tactical hammer, it's pretty straightforward. He has a hammer that he slaps everything with. So as you can see there, it will one-shot enemies. Anything bigger than a tormentor and a smasher, it will not one-shot. So I think you are able to use it on a rooter. I haven't actually tried that just yet. Well, I have used it on a rooter, but I think you'll be able to one-shot it if you charge it up all the way. But it's actually pretty solid. And it works a little bit different on how it does in Rainbow Six Siege. So in Rainbow Six Siege, if you actually, have the hammer and hit a wall, it'll break open a huge hole in the wall, but it's normally a hole that's just big enough for you to vault through, not just straight up walk through. This one, however, just on level 1 on its own, will straight up just destroy a wall and make it big enough of a hole for you to walk straight through. So it doesn't really act like a shotgun entirely, so you can't really shoot a rotation hole or hit a rotation hole through a wall and jump over through it, making enemies to where they actually have to break through it to continue pursuing you. So don't think this sledgehammer will give you that kind of opportunity. It won't, but it will make it to where that you can quickly just charge through walls and get out of there and just keep running in a straight line no matter what obstacles in front of you. So it gives a lot of potential of getting out of situations really quickly. And technically with this, you do have a faster swing time with the sledgehammer than if you did with a normal melee or like knife attack or gun butting enemies. So you have a lot faster killing weapon for close range. So a shotgun isn't really necessary since this thing can one-shot enemies all the way up to tormentors, or not really or it can't really kill tormentors. It one-shots all the way up to rooters. Tormentors, smashers, and apexes will be either a stun or just don't do anything at all to it. So you have the arsenal update, goes up to SMG 11, and that's on level 3, speed 3 increase, or movement speed increased by 25% on speed 3. Healthy hand, this is his passive. So reviving teammates grants them 20 health boost. So this is great for people that actually can be revived by him. He can actually get them out of a tight situation real quickly, or they're able to take like another like 1 or 2 hits, especially for if they are running someone with damage resistance. Arsenal update: it's the L85A2 assault rifle, harder and faster on here. And charged hammer swings now stun sowers, rooters, and lurkers. And yeah, so there you go. It actually doesn't really like one-shot them, but it does stun them. So every enemy, aside from the explosive guys or the explosive Arcans and the grunts, is able to be stunned by him, except for an Apex and the bosses or the Proteans, I think. So the charge hammer is able to stun sowers, rooters, and lurkers. The armor guys swing speed and damage is increased, so it will absolutely obliterate enemies. So you can use it to where you can just spam the actual heck out of this. Don't even charge it. You just slap and hit lurkers over and over and over again. Now it will stun them if you can charge it, but it will actually do just straight up more damage. To where you need to hit them multiple times, or if you charge it all the way back, you can one hit them with it. So it does stun them, or it will straight out take them out of the match. So, or take them out of the game. So it's just depending on how long, if you actually just pre-charged your hammer or getting ready to swing at them. Normally I just spam the button, just slapping everything. No matter what, they really are going to die, and you just make it to where you have him in a stun lock in front of you. So he's really good for stun locking larger enemies too. So keep that in mind. This is what I mean. Like, he has a bunch of utility that people just haven't really used a whole lot yet. And armor 5 incoming damage reduced by 40%, so you have 40% less damage being done to you. Arsenal update: you get the AR-33 assault rifle or AR-33 assault rifle, and then level 10, which is actually one of my favorites, and this is the Smasher Smackdown. I love it. The charged hammer swings now stun tormentors and smashers. So as you can see, charged hammer swings. So again, if you want to get a stun effect on an enemy, you have to hold down the button or your ability button to charge up your hammer, so you're able to swing at him. Essentially, he's just holding it over him, and he's kind of like, getting ready to really swing it at him. To give it to him here, I'll show you the preview for it. As you can see, it takes time to charge. It slaps him, knocks him down. You can easily run up and do a takedown, or just shoot him in the back. Now they only show the smasher there, but it will do it to tormentors and all that kind of stuff there. So it's really cool. So again, let's see if I'm actually able to show it here. Yep. So he's able to stun sowers, lurkers, and all that kind of stuff. Stuns them, you can light them up, shoot them, do a takedown on them, all that kind of good stuff. So like I said, like for grunts and the explosive guys, now the hammer doesn't just straight up like just hammer them and just pound them to the ground. It will just straight up obliterate them if you charge it or just hit them normally. So it's absolutely amazing. This means that you can do takedowns on explosive guys with the hammer without making any kind of noise or actually making them explode. And it is also way faster to do that animation and take them out than actually doing a normal takedown. So for you guys that are thinking, I would just do a takedown, why in the world would I use a hammer on it? That's the reason why. It takes way less time, you still get the same effect, and you also remove their body completely so enemies won't see it. So it's really great for that. So he's absolutely, in the right hands, he can very much be a really good stealth operator. Because you just walk up on just about anything, stun it, take it down for a actual takedown or stealth takedown after you just slap the actual heck out of it with a sledge or sledgehammer. So he's the most aggressive stealth operator, I guess, is the best way to put it. Which I haven't really used him a whole lot except for getting him to level 10, but he's absolutely fun to mess with. So you want a really fun operator, this is it. This is absolutely amazing. It's kind of ridiculous for how fast he can swing his hammer, and it's funny as can be. So it's pretty dang great. So what kind of role does he fall under? Obviously, stealth if you can really pull it off, which is fairly easy to do. He's also really good for setting up sites with this kind of thing, so you can set up rotation areas that are big enough for you to run through if you really need to get out of the area, and or also hitting sprawl or anything like that. Now the sledgehammer, when it comes to actually hitting sprawl, it's nothing different from like hitting it with a normal melee attack, unless you charge it, and that will remove a big section, but that takes a lot more time, so I don't really recommend it, but it can work out if you really wanted to. So it's something there. And he's really overall a good support for setting up side defenses and all that kind of stuff. So he is armor 5, so he's kind of there to be the brute force defensive kind of operator. So all around, I think he's more defensive orientated, while still being a little bit of stealth. The most, again, aggressive stealth player. So what react tech I would bring along with him, things that would kind of support his kind of play style. So, or kind of support his weaknesses while still being able to do what he does best. So if you really want to run him to where he's really good at stealth, run the rush pistol, and you turn him into the most terrifying man you could possibly see. The man that has a charged up hammer and running at Mach 5 speeds ready to slam into a smasher. Now that's scary. The Archeans will have no idea, like, man, if they can actually think, that would be like the most scariest thing to see right there. Being like a 10-foot bulletproof tank of a creature and getting just laid out by a man with a sledgehammer, running at Mach 5 speeds. Now that's pretty dang cool. But so if you want to run that, you can. You can make it to where that he is just as powerful as dang Sledge, you know, the man bear of a man and Lord, our savior, with the LMG mounted. So if you want to do that, you can, but I kind of play more towards getting gadgets to help out his weaknesses when it comes to his gadget. So again, he's way better for close range combat. His shotgun's practically worthless when you have a sledgehammer that does everything but better than that. So I go with this auto turret, and it kind of helps out with longer ranges. So you can just kind of stand next to the door with the sledgehammer and let the auto turret shoot enemies from longer range. So it really works out for defenses, and it's kind of broken. Anything like that. If you want to run body armor, you can also do that too. You can reduce incoming damage by 20% and make it to where that, you know, you have 60% less damage being done to you, and you are an absolute tank of a man swinging a dang hammer. So he is one of the most fun operators in the game to be using. So real great for defensive, react tech, anything you really want to do. You don't really need smoke grenades. Again, your sledgehammer already stuns or straight up just obliterates them, so there's no point in running any of that. So you don't even need stun grenades or any of that kind of stuff like paralysis grenades. I don't know where I'm running it. You don't need it. So you can always run explosives, like either nitro cells, grenades, anything like that, or claymores if you want to do that. It's really up to you. I recommend just running grenades and stuff. It's a little bit longer ranges. Again, by the time you want to use a claymore, you're already slapping them with a hammer. So anything real close range, it is kind of just taken out of the equation when you have your gadget that does this. So all around, he's a really good operator. I'll go ahead and jump into a match with him. It's going to be pretty short, but it's going to be showing him off. Now, unlike Smoke, you know, I didn't actually use this gadget a whole lot until the very end where I actually showed you and didn't really hit any kind of enemies. So that is a bit of a mistake on my part, but you guys kind of have the general idea of it. So we do have serial scans, so we do get to see a bit of a defensive play here.
Why bring my caber to a gunfight? Maybe I just like the challenge.
His caber is the sledgehammer. Alright, so let's see, what do I want to run for his actual deal here, because he doesn't really need anything stunning people, because you know I can already do that. I guess claymores will work because I do have serial scan, even though you know he does have a sledgehammer and I can do anything. I might need a couple of things to support my back, so I mean, he's not immortal. I mean, he's just about there to being the most scariest operator in the game, but he's not immortal. So he's the closest thing that you can get to being as terrifying as Blitz, running like a dang train and sounding like one. So this is how he normally moves with the sledgehammer fully charged. As you can see on the bottom right, it's all yellow. I'm able to swing, it'll obliterate anything right there. So I can swing it, normally just spam it. So as you can see, there is a little bit of a switch, or a little bit extra speed than it is with a melee weapon, or with your knife. So he definitely does beat it out. It's just by a little bit, but he does beat it out in times of actually swinging it. So this is what I mean by, okay, let's do with that. Didn't see you there. Okay, that's a bit weird. Didn't work out.
Get the asset to extraction.
As you can see, I just slapped him once, it didn't even charge it, and it obliterated him. So it is a one-hit kill. Just swinging it normally. It'll obliterate any kind of grunts, so if you want to swing it, it's like a AoE kind of damage. So you are able to hit several enemies at once in front of you. I think that has to come with a actual charge hit though, so you can hit several enemies, but you have to charge it first. So most of his power really does come from charging it, and he's able to really kill anything with that. That does take a little bit extra time for prepping.
Package is secured.
Like this. And obliterates them right there, so don't even worry about it exploding. Boom. Sledgehammer. And you also get points for sledgehammer kills, so that's also something to look out for. So technically he is an infinite source of using or getting extra points. And since it is a sledgehammer, it doesn't lose any kind of durability, unlike in Rainbow Six Siege, where he only has a limited use for it. It's kind of weird, but you know, it is what it is. So he's able to use it just a normal swing. He'll be able to knock down anything like that. I also want to go over this. So doors like this, where you're able to use it or to have a touch scan or a touchpad to open and close it. Normally this is like 10 times better than any kind of normal barricade that you'd put up, so it's more or less like a better castle barricade. And I did go over one of my videos when I was setting up an objective. I think it was for IQ, but it was the data got corrupted for it, so you guys won't really see it until I make another one around or try to go over it again. But when I was explaining it, these doors take a lot of damage. Even if you try to light it up with your gun, you do actually damage it, but it takes a lot of rounds to destroy, so it's not really worth using your ammo on it. But you can break it in one hit with your sledgehammer. Now this will make it to where then obviously, you know, the door's not there, but the reason why I would actually rather break these is if I'm running a turret and you can set up a normal barricade like so. And like this one, it's like the wooden barricade, but way stronger, so it's kind of like more of a castle barricade. You knock a hole in the middle and set a turret facing the general direction in there, so the laser is able to see through it, and it will shoot enemies on the other side just fine, and actually make it to where that they'll be stunned from attacking it, because the turret does actually have a stun effect on enemies. So when it comes to actual like grunts or any kind of enemies really, except for like smashers or any kind of big guys. Actually, it does work on smashers, but it takes several hits, and by that time, you know, the smasher is already through the wall or the door.
Works and improvise where you must. Keep moving
But
forward.
you are able to keep enemies at bay when it comes to that, or smaller ones enemy, or anyway.
Subzone transition in effect.
So it's a really good tip for you guys for later on. If you want to do any kind of setups, it's probably better.
That's a tremor. Our scientists have been getting strange fluctuating pressure readings in the area. Get to our seismic stations.
So all around, he's a pretty solid guy. I don't really know if I can really show off the stealth gameplay a whole lot. Normally that's just not how I'll play. I do play a little bit more aggressively, but you have to be smart about it. You know, shoot at enemies that have their backs facing you kind of deal. Pull back when you need to. So it's like the cautious kind of stealth play, or aggressive play. As you can see, explosive guy, knocked him out, he's not even there, he didn't explode, didn't make a single sound. You can slap enemies as hard as you possibly want with this thing, and not a single one of them will turn their head. Because they just get obliterated. There's nothing there. So that's what I mean, he's the most aggressive stealth play operator. And you can run around just swinging like crazy and be whacking enemies all the time. Now smacking down walls and stuff, now that will actually probably alert enemies because, you know, you're actually destroying stuff around
You
you.
have a recon device. It can help you locate the objective.
All I need is recon.
That's the right idea, but start with the first station.
Weapon reload.
Whatever. Destroys him before he's able to explode.
Station. Start the triangulation.
Commencing seismic triangulation. Setting timeout interval.
That'll do it. Go to the next station.
Updating seismic triangulation.
So all around, yeah, he's a pretty good
Find
op.
the next station.
He has the unlimited ability, which I can't really say a whole lot of people have. And technically, there's a lot of them that have an unlimited ability, but they would either take forever to recharge.
React scientists
Actually, all of them
disrupting the propagation
take
of the
time to
science
recharge,
wave.
except for
Good teamwork.
some that are just, you know, straight up used, and you have to actually use another ability, pick up or recharge in order to get that. So he is one of the, I think the only operator currently right now that has a ability that you don't need to wait to recharge. You can charge it to get the most out of it, but you don't need to wait for recharge. You can just keep swinging it and using it infinitely. So really, really convenient.
During the outbreak event, almost all inhabitants inside the city limits were infected.
You're driven, and it shows. Carry that into the next subzone.
Why is there mines in here? I'll never know.
Parasite activity patterns seem dense around these arc spines. We're still analyzing if it's another
Airlock sequence. Subzone transition in effect.
So what we got next? Serial scan, yeah. So got 18 mines and 1 turret to really watch my back.
Get to catalyst emitter.
Or 18 claymores. I mean, not really mines, but
As they react to the catalyst.
unless you want to count a claymore as a mine, I guess it kind of is in a way. But yeah, he's pretty dang good. He has a great loadout. He doesn't really like have a real good selection or a real wide selection of weapons, but they are solid.
The catalyst emitter.
I mean, you can't really go wrong. They don't really stand out a whole lot except for secondary, which is the SMG-11 that I'm using here. So let's go ahead and reinforce this wall.
Reinforcing the wall. Wall reinforced.
So all around, yeah. So I think, you know, I'm usually on other social media and stuff covering the game. and in other ways, and a lot of people are talking about like certain operators just being more useless than others. In a sense, yes, a lot of them do their abilities, but in a different way, and some cases way better. But they all like stand out in certain situations in a better way. So you just have to find the right one that's best for them. Watch this. Okay, I guess he won't actually do it. So I'll knock holes in there. It'll take a while to actually shoot through it. My turret will have plenty of line of sight to actually see that. I'll also set up.
Claymore going down.
Set up a claymore on that end. Set a claymore up on the wall.
Claymore set.
So usually I double trap walls. Make it to where the laser's not touching the wall if you can, unless it's on the opposite end where you want them from. Because at that point, you know, the wall's already destroyed. They're going to be hitting that one, so you can let that one hit it if you want to. Swinging around, I was testing something. And also, a good little tip that a lot of the game doesn't really tell you at all. When you use React Tech refills, they'll also refill your reinforcements that you use. So if you guys are planning on reinforcing a wall, probably don't pick up that React Tech box until you're actually done using all your reinforcements. Then you'll use that and you'll get the most out of it. So it's a really cool thing I picked up on there. So little tips for you guys all around. I'll try to put them into the video anytime that I'm able to, you know, think of one as we go that, you know, we actually find. Because sometimes operators will have like secret abilities that we don't know about. Or a lot of us don't know about anyway. Alright, let's get rid of you. You're going to be problematic. Put in that end of the wall. Put on this end, so they're going to have to double up on that. There we go. Where's the third one at? That's what I want to know. Right here? Okay, well that's right next to each other. Cool. I'll put a claymore right there. There we go. Sure, we'll move it up just a bit. So I'm playing by myself, you know. I need to get a little bit of prep time set up. We'll lock off this door. Same deal.
Placing claymore. Claymore active. Claymore set.
Yeah, there we go. So essentially the entirety of Sledge.
Claymore going down.
He's pretty straightforward, especially with, you know, his actual just normal gadget.
Scanning. Initiating data transfer.
Archeans are just a little
Because again, you want to take this stuff out because you can't really shoot enemies. It'll take them forever to break through, yeah. But you can't really do anything to shoot them back, and you just have to let them kind of destroy a defense. Or any kind of defense.
Data transfer complete.
Get the next set of data.
Scanning. Initiating data transfer.
I'm detecting hostile movement.
I'm reloading.
Target.
There we go.
Data transfer complete.
Next scanning zone. Go.
Claymore set.
Scanning. Initiating data transfer.
Hostiles on approach.
Play more active.
Pretty much straight towards it though, you know. Oh, they're really hoofing it.
Data transfer complete.
And we are out of here.
The kids were rushing at you like crazy.
Again, pretty straightforward. Operator that has no recharge on his ability after you use it. You keep swinging, it is faster than any kind of melee weapon. It will kill faster and way more effective than any other kind of melee weapon. So not only is a knife slower than in melee, but you normally need about 2 to 3 swings in order just to kill a normal grunt. This is with the lurker. You could just slap it a bunch of times and just bully it to the ground if you really wanted to. You can bully these things. Aliens, right? Aliens that are killing hundreds of people, and you can bully it with a sledgehammer.
Thanks to your success, we might get additional private funding.
This goes to show something for humanity here in this weird universe. I don't understand it, but that's what it is. So special ops right here, you know. You take a hammer to a gunfight, you know. But definitely one of my more fun operators. I love playing. He's definitely really underrated. A lot of people don't like him because you have to get up close with the enemy and stuff, but then again, it's high risk, high reward, and a lot of fun, and it really gets you racing with it. So you could play him to so many different ways to go on about it. So I want to say he's more of a support kind of defensive operator, but he can very much be an assault kind of form, or stealth, just how the sheer force and, you know, destruction that his utility brings for it being a sledgehammer. So all around, I think he is the very few that fall underneath the flex operator. He does a bit of everything in the game. So one of the most fun for sure. Aside from that, there's not really much else I need to say about him. Tell me what you guys think about it or think about the operator down in the comments. If you want to set up a game with me or set up any kind of time to play out any kind of matches, just let me know. And I'll see you on the next one.